Hello, welcome to this overview of the Chief Financial Officer services within ESS BIZTOOLS. What we are going to do is take you onto the key document that controls the Chief Financial Officer services package, and that is the procedure control form. And this will give you an overview of the material that we have included within the Chief Financial Officer Services package. There's a number of sections to this particular product. As you can see summarized here, we have procedures for quotation and proposals, some preamble, briefing materials, and then we get into the material that you can select which items you wish to use to be able to deliver a broader range of professional services to your clients, other than the traditional annual accounts, taxation returns, superannuation fund advice. So we're just going to go through the various steps. Every step is identified, of course. Because it's a very broad subject to write a product that accountants could use to deliver a Chief Financial Officer service. I was a Chief Financial Officer in a listed public company for a number of years in my career, and I have drawn on that experience to write this particular package. Because I found there was this range of services that the Chief Financial Officer had to supply. One of the biggest components was the what-if questions that seemed to continually come my way, primarily from the CEO, but also the Deputy CEO and other senior managers within the organisation, sales, marketing, livestock. We were a meat export business, or we had substantial Australian business as well, but primarily exporting, so we had these key managers involved. So let's just go through what I think the CFO role should be. We've also utilised a range of material that we sourced from the Australian Financial Review relative to advertisements for Chief Financial Officers, Chief Accountants, Finance Directors. 4 listed public companies, major not-for-profit organisations. And when we examined that, we found that a significant amount of what was listed as duties for those types of positions also applied when you looked at fast-growing small, medium enterprises. And we're really thinking here of a company with a turnover of $2.5 to $3 million, or it might not even be a company, but $2.5 to $3 million turnover and higher. But you could have a client who has got a turnover of under $2 million who's also very interested in engaging you to perform some of these roles. Obviously, the first section is compliance. There is definitely a compliance function in offering a CFO service, so we've listed that there. You probably wouldn't be doing a lot of these other services if you are doing audit. And then we moved into the financial function. The objective is to advise directors and senior management on the financial strategies of the business. You will be assisting with the management of the financial and business services. We're envisaging that you're going to offer these services through your team. So individuals would be allocated specific tasks once you've negotiated what you are going to do with your client. Expenses and cost controls, capital expenditure, the financial accounts, making sure the financial accounts are prepared on a management basis that can be understood by the line managers who have the responsibilities of running these particular activities. not the annual accounts that might be prepared for consolidation and submission in an income tax return. So we've got a number of articles that you can see are linked so that you could click on and read them so that you're better prepared to be able to be undertaking some of these tasks. General ledger integrity, analysis of the financial data, the ratios, the key performance indicators. How does the business do all that? Break-even calculations, benchmarking exercises. Then we're going to move into the commercial functions. We see the objective here, if you negotiate with your client that you're going to undertake these commercial functions, is to advise directors and senior management on the management of commercial business services, assisting with the various commercial business services. Information technology, someone within your firm presumably would be able to assist your client in understanding these activities. Human resources. Again, it might be a person that's not normally involved with the client who is going to be their link on human resources matters. And then we look at the treasury functions of a business. This is a very important role in bigger companies. It also applies to smaller businesses. One of the real problems that a CEO of a growing SME business has got is they normally do not have a range of in-house experts to assist them in performing their role. Whereas in a listed public company, there's a sales manager, a marketing manager, a production manager, maybe a legal advisor, and obviously a chief financial officer. Small, medium enterprises, especially the fast-growing ones, probably haven't got these people to assist. So under this category, we will also listed risk management, which would include the personal property securities register, but also the preparation of budgets and cash flow forecasts. And when you're going through this and having a conversation with your client, you would be identifying which of the tasks that you are going to specifically cover in your contract with your client. Working capital, looking at things like debtors, stock, work in progress. Identifying grants that this client might be able to apply for. There are a lot of grants in Australia. About $3 billion a year is allocated for grants by the federal, state and territory governments. You should be trying to make sure that any client that you're offering the Chief Financial Officer service to is definitely receiving their fair share of grants. The next major heading is business performance and growth. The objective to advise directors and senior management on the business performance in each of its business units and to prepare appropriate feasibility studies to enhance the business's opportunities to grow. Now that is probably an operation that you're not normally involved in. So we've included some material here to prepare you and your team that are going to be involved in this sort of work with your clients. Business evaluations, survival in difficult times for SMEs. It's a special workbook that we have prepared. Characteristics of a well-run business. Steps needed to achieve business success. All to get your team's minds around what the task is with this particular client. We then look at customers. What services need to be improved for customers? We've got some comments then on selling. Who is your salesperson? Sales funnel calculation sheets. So if you wanted to use some of this material directly with your clients, you're most welcome to do so. We then discuss business valuations as to how companies are being valued. Because if a smaller company, has taken the big step to engage your firm to offer Chief Financial Officer services, I think they should be having an annual valuation on their business prepared, because this business in most cases would be aspiring to grow. And at one day in the future, they may want to raise capital. They may even want to do an initial public offer. So they need to start thinking about this. And if they were going to try to raise capital, they would need to complete a trial due diligence report, because it's the sort of report that someone acting for a major investor may wish to conduct on the firm. It's always a good idea to have conducted a due diligence report on your own business before someone else turns up to do it. We then talk about research and development. Is there systems in place for the appropriate identification of research and development projects? Have R&D plans been prepared? Is the documentation being maintained? Then we're looking at investment readiness. Is this company in an investment ready status in case someone does knock on the door or make a phone call or send an email? And we're looking at the potential to utilize early stage innovation companies, and also there is crowdsourced funding documentation that's available in the system. The next section we move into is company secretarial, because in most cases, if you're performing the Chief Financial Officer role, you would be also offering the company secretarial role, which is obviously preparing the documentation and reports for submitting to the board of directors, recording the minutes and the action plan, and follow up with the team to make sure the board's getting what the board wants. But also part of your role could be looking at corporate governance issues for this business and advising the directors, especially the directors who are not experienced in other operations, various aspects of their duties. We then have a special section relative to retail businesses that you might utilize if your client is in the retail trade, or if the client's in a trade business. We have material for that area, or a manufacturer, or a professional firm, or if the client's in hotels and motels, or tourism, or contractors. So those half a dozen separate groups for industries are there to assist you if your client is one of those, or if they're not, perhaps that material will assist you in getting a general understanding. If you come across industry groups that you think we should have written some specific material on, please send us an email and we'll look at including it in our ongoing work program. We then have links to gold, silver and bronze packages, because we have prepared some material that you may care to utilize to offer your client a gold package, a silver package or a bronze package. Or you might use this material to develop your own unique package of services that you would deliver to your client as a Chief Financial Officer. We've talked about at the end about, under other tasks, the what-if questions. Please make provision for them, and please indicate to your client that you're happy to accept text messages, emails, phone calls relating to what-if questions on a daily basis. All you've got to make sure is those questions are recorded and someone in your team gets the response ready to send back to your client, because that is a big part of the CFO role, encouraging your client to be thinking and then asking questions. One of the other key aspects of this role is making sure the vision statement has been documented, and then monitoring the performance of the business as to how the business is performing against the vision statement. And then there might be some other special assignments. In summary, there's a lot of work in offering a Chief Financial Officer service to your clients. But with the expected explosion of capital raising by small, medium enterprises, with the introduction of early stage innovation company capital raising and crowdsourced funding capital raising, many companies will be looking for the part-time virtual Chief Financial Officer services to be available to them. Many of them will not wish to appoint a full-time CFO, but many of them will be very interested in talking to accountancy firms who are committed to proactively supplying a broader range of services to supply a Chief Financial Officer service to them. Thank you very much for showing the interest in the ESS BIZTOOLS range of products. You can subscribe to the CFO package on a standalone basis if you wish, or you can avail yourself of the opportunity of gaining access to all of the ESS BIZTOOLS material by subscribing to the ESS BIZTOOLS Gold package. Thank you for your interest. Have a great day. Goodbye.